guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to be doing number 4 in the book What If God Wrote Your Bucket List by Jay Payleitner. So to get us started, Mariah is going to read the story in case you don't have the book so that you know what we're talking about.
When I was in college, I made this declaration more than once. I will never live in a house with a white picket fence. That was my way of taking a stand against a life of meaningless existence. Sure, I knew I'd probably get married and have 1 or 2 kids, but a house in a suburbia with a white picket with a picket fence and a minivan? Not a chance. I was better than that. I was going to do great things. Mowing a lawn or cleaning gutters would just get in the way. For the record, I have never owned or erected a white picket fence. However, at the second house we owned, I came home from work one day to an image that could have rocked my world. My neighbor had installed a lovely and sturdy white picket fence, which meant the entire north side of my property now stood in mocking defiance of the personal pledge I had made 10 years earlier. But you know what? It was not a big deal. I looked at that fence and laughed. By that time, I had 3 kids and had surrendered to the conformity and wonder of suburban life, including owning a minivan. Seeing that fence helped me realize who I was and what my life had become. I had not sold out. I had not turned my back on a free-thinking, rebellious, countercultural lifestyle. Instead, I had found something better. The desire to do great things was still there, but when I looked at my family, I realized that my dedication to serving them was as great as any human endeavor could be. And one of the most amusing scenes in the Bible, all 12 disciples are walking along beside Jesus, arguing about which one of them is the greatest. As recorded in Mark 9, while the group of men traveled from Galilee to Capernaum, Jesus shared some pretty amazing stuff, even describing his inevitable betrayal, death, and resurrection. But the disciples were barely listening. They don't get it. Instead, each of them has been staking claim to the head of the line when it comes to Jesus' sidekicks. Even though he knows their every thought, Jesus asks, "What were you arguing about on the road?" They get real quiet. Then Jesus delivers this stunner. Anyone who wants to be first must be the very last and the servant of all. The 12 disciples have been acting like children, and Jesus has pointed it out. To emphasize the point, he picks up a little kid who happens to be hanging around, and he adds, "Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me." Mark 9:37. Once again, Jesus turns conventional wisdom upside down. Want to do great things? Me too. Let's start by serving our families, including our kids, spouses, parents, siblings, nieces, and nephews. Then we can move on to serving our neighbors and the rest of the planet. Live as a servant to all, and you'll not only feel great, but you'll be great.
So this story resonates with me because I have a family, I have children, and I know firsthand how hard it is to put the self aside and do what is best for your family, your children, what's going to make your husband happy instead of make you happy, what's going to make your child happy, instead of you getting to use your time the way that you want to. You have to give those things up in order to help somebody else or help lift somebody else's day and make it a better day. And I know that it's hard to do that, and we all struggle with that. Human nature itself is a very selfish thing. The flesh is selfish, and so doing what we want to do comes easy, but then whenever we have to put what we want aside and do what somebody else wants, it's very difficult. But it can also be a blessing, and it is your kids may not see it now, but whenever they look back on it when they're older, they're going to look back and remember a mom who cared about them and loved them and wanted to make sure that all their needs and their wants were met. And your husband can look back on that too, and that just really shows them how much love that you have for them. And I know for me that even though it's hard sometimes, and sometimes I fail to do it, sometimes my selfishness kicks in and I end up being more selfish than I would like to admit. But I know that in the times whenever I do give up self and serve others, that it usually blesses me too. I give up 10 minutes of phone time to go read with my kids, and I can feel us drawing closer through that. And I know that that's things that they're going to remember later on in life, and that's how I want to be remembered by my children and my family. And so I can bless them through giving up my time, but it also blesses me as well in the long run. Another thing is not just with your family, but giving up your time to bless other people. And when we do that, you could change somebody's life. You never know the impact that you're going to have. And God will bring glory through that, through your works. Not that they're needed, because the Bible tells us that our salvation comes through our faith and God's grace, not through works. But our works also show who God is to this world. And it's a blessing to us whenever we get the opportunity to show other people who God is and hopefully make their life better.
He goes on saying, to be great in the eyes of the world pretty much involves being first. First to reach the mountaintop, first at the box office, first in rushing yards or home runs, first in line at the bank, first place in whatever race you're running. But true greatness comes when you let others go ahead of you. Yes, we should absolutely strive for excellence. God wants us to use our gifts and give our best efforts in all we do. But when glory comes, give it away, and you can check one more item off that bucket list. Put others ahead of yourself. Actually, put everyone ahead of yourself, which makes you last. But that's okay, because in God's economy, the last will become first and the first will become last. Matthew 20:16. So I challenge you guys this week to put others before yourself and see what blessings come your way.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.